Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. Founded in 2013, the EHL has become the college placement leader on the East Coast. Sit back and learn more about the next step in your junior hockey career.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto: we take care of our own, as they help out all of those within the hockey community who've experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. What's up? My name is Neil Ravin, and this is episode number 176 of the E-Show. On this week's episode, we welcome back the Bridgewater Bandits to the EHL and EHLP. Jake Basile chats with Scott Drevitch as the Bandits make their return to the league after departing following the conclusion of the 2016-17 season. Drevitch highlights the feelings Bridgewater has towards returning to the EHL and EHLP and discusses how anxious they are to get started. Having established a strong culture over the years, Drevitch is happy to have his program back in the spot where they first created their original identity. Opening day for the Bandits EHL team is set for September 21st on the road against the Express, while the EHLP team will host the Lumberjacks for a pair of games on the 15th and 16th.
Hello, E-Show. Today we are joined by Bridgewater Bandits head coach and general manager Scott Drevitch. Drevitch has been with the Bandits since 2007 after nearly 20 years of playing professional hockey. Drevitch coached with the Bandits at both the EHL and Premier level during their original stint in the league and will be the bench boss for the EHL team as we welcome the Bandits back to the E-Show. So, Coach, thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and we're excited to be back in the EHL.
Yeah, it's good to have you guys back. So we'll throw it back to the last season within the EHL for you, 16-17. Bandits E-team finished with 23 wins, Premier team with 28. What stands out most in your memory about the EHL?
For me, it's just an organized league. I feel that the coaches and the league members, everybody has the same goal, and I think that was that really stood out as far as just there's competition, and they're obviously trying to get some players and blah blah blah, all the stuff that goes with any business. But in the end of the day, they're all together. You get a bunch of organizations trying to do the same thing. That they have the same goal of trying to get the players to college. Or to a higher level of the juniors, if the kid's good enough for that, and but everyone was very organized. It's still it's so much better organized, I feel, and it was just the location of all the teams, are around most of the college, the D3 college programs, the D2 programs, and it was very, very community. Like, it was just really, even when you went out scouting, you weren't by yourself out scouting. You were out scouting with all the other coaches. You're all hanging out together, and you go to the different events in the summer, and that's a huge difference that I've seen in this league compared to some of the others, and that the coaches are very friendly to each other and actually even help each other out.
So being away for several years and having your plate full with the Bandits in the USP, how much attention were you still kind of keeping on the EHL, and have you had to do a lot of reintroducing yourself?
It's funny because I made some really good friends with the coaches, and so we stayed in touch. And I paid attention to the EHL. I mean, that's part of my job anyways, to know what's going on in the junior hockey world. And but I followed it, and I'm good. Have some good friends that are involved in the EHL, and so it wasn't something like we left and then we just totally forgot about it. It was definitely right there. Obviously, in our area in Boston, we have both leagues right on top of each other. So you run into those people all the time. It's not like it was a different part of the country or something. We're right here. The two leagues have teams 10 minutes apart in some of the areas here. So it's junior hockey's got a lot of teams here. So it's you'd see those people, and we go out, and again, when we go out scouting, so we still see them and still hang out with them. And like I said, I had some good friends, and kept up with them.
You're getting a chance with the Bandits to get to know the new ownership as well as your relationship with Scott Harlow over the years. How has that been? And have you guys been able to kind of hammer out a vision for the Bandits, part 2 in the EHL?
Yeah, the ownership has really been hands off as far as they kind of said status quo, just they said, hey, Scott, go do your thing and run the program, and it's been successful for a long time. And so they've just let me kind of just everything's been the same. Scott Harlow is still involved a little bit as far as an advisor, an advisory role. I grew up with Scott, so I've known him for a long, long time. We played pro together in the AHL on 2 different teams, and so we get along really well. And it was I'm really happy for him as far as selling the program. I think he really enjoyed having the program and the rink, but I mean, he made a lot of money, I think. So I just think it's gonna, it's a business, and he sold his business, which is I guess a good way of supporting your family. And but yeah, we've been successful, and for us, success is getting those kids to higher levels, college, or helping these young, they're young kids. They come to us, young kids, they turn into young men. And we have some kids that actually didn't go to college and actually have gone on. And I have a captain that had, he could have went and played college hockey, but he changed his mind, decided he wanted to be an EMT. And we called local fire departments for him, and and now he's been there now for like 8 years on the local fire department. And so we have kids. My own electrician at my house he's a past player. He decided not to go to college. Another player that could have gotten could have went and played college, but he so we're just trying to help all the players. And I think for us, success is helping them enter the real world, whether going through college or going to a real job, whatever. But we just programs just keep going the way it is.
Absolutely. And as far as the on ice product goes, what does a Drevitch coach team look like?
If you're watching one of my teams, I'm really hoping, and usually it's the case, they're a very hardworking, hard to play against team. I think it's I like puck possession, and we like to have a little puck possession. We want to have that puck. Everyone has fun having that puck, so we want it, and we're really aggressive to go and get it. And so I think if the people are playing against the Bandits, they know that they're in for it's going to be a battle that when you come to play the Bandits. I referee on the side, and they need refs so bad. So I referee on the side. I just ref the tournament a couple weeks ago, and some of my Bandit players put a team in to the tournament. It was a junior level tournament, and so they were playing, and I'm roughing the other teams, but you get the schedule, and I just happen to have their games. And some of the other teams, even before the game, they were talking like, oh, they got Bandit kids on they don't know I'm the coach, and they're like, oh, they got Bandit kids on the team. Look out, they're good, ferocious. They're coming after us. We're not gonna have as much time today. And that for me was a huge, huge compliment for those guys. And they played that way here in the spring and the summer. They're still playing that way. And for me, a very proud moment. It's like a dad being proud of their kid. So it was that's usually how we're known as really hard to play against. And so it's I go out, try looking, find the kids that really have some passion for the game, and they want to work hard. Myself as a player, that's how I was. I love being around the rink. I still skate myself, and I love that competition. And so our practices are up tempo and a lot of competition. And I hope it brings to the games. And so we try we look at the players like that they want to play, want to be at the rink, want to be around their teammates in the locker room. And and then when it's game time, it's just second nature. It's not it's not like, oh, we got to get up for a game. We're already up. We already doing that on a daily basis. It's not like, oh, we got to get up for this game. I got to somehow come up with extra energy. You got to have that every day.
Did you have to call any penalties on any of your players while
I
reffing
did,
them?
yes. Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah. So it was funny. The guys, it was a local summer tournament, and it was just
Yeah.
a lot of fun. And all the teams had fun, and I knew some kids on all the different teams. There was kids from other organizations that I knew as well, and so some of the kids knew that I was the coach. Others they just see a ref, and I refed. My son did it with me. My son Tyler, my oldest, and so the two of us. So some people knew who he was and who I was, and others didn't, and and it was funny. Like one of the coaches was yelling at Tyler, like, you probably never played and everything. And, he's playing pro right now. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I've never played. I just doing this for extra money on the side, just laughing. So we try enjoying the referee, and we try helping out there. Obviously they need help, and, if we're available, we try doing that, but it's fun. It's, you're on the ice with the kids, and you can hear them, like, and you don't hear, like, when you're on the bench, you don't hear the kids talking as much. Like, you can hear them talking, but you don't know, like, when they're chirping at each other and saying little things. It's when you're roughing, you're right in the mix, so it's kind of funny. So some of the guys, obviously my guys, I just shake my head sometimes, just laughing at some of the things they're saying, but it's fun.
And speaking of your Bandits players, you plan on having, a lot of them make the move with you from the USPHL to the EHL. Do you kind of expect those guys to be leaders and to kind of lead the room, considering their familiarity to you?
Yes, 100%. You get your returning players know not just the league, but they know what's going on within your own organization, and how you want the culture and the work ethic, and just they need to set the tone. Yes, 100% sure that the returning players are looked at, right off the bat to set the tone. They know, and they know what to expect at the beginning of the year. You get a lot of new faces, and we've done a really good job, our whole organization, and I'm talking, the girls in the office, the owners, the assistant coaches, that we have full-time strength coach, everyone there at the rink, the Zamboni drivers, everyone's done a really good job of welcoming these kids in from across the country. And, but everything starts in that locker room. And, the veteran guys coming back are, definitely 100% sure. Like they're a big part of that, and, so we've signed we got some guys coming back, and I know you wanted some names, and the media girl wanted to release some, but I got a couple for you. So we got Zach Merrick back, a good D-man, 20-year-old D-man, steady back there, leader, and Brendan Flanagan, a goaltender, was a leader in the locker room. Everybody loves him. Very talkative, very, very outgoing. He's a local kid. So really important for the kids when they come out from out of state, and they're coming here for the first time, that those local kids help out. And so it's kids like those guys, they're gonna be big leaders in the room. And and we got a kid, Wyatt Fisher, coming back. He's another funny kid that's in the room, and he's in practice is really outgoing and everything. So I think those kids are going to be definitely leaders of the team, and helping the transition to junior hockey for the new players that are coming in.
So to shift the focus to you, and when you played your hockey, especially college hockey at UMaine and UMass Lowell, the things that you focused on to be a college ready hockey player back then in the 80s, how different are they than what the things that you're preparing for your players now?
I think there's a lot of similarities. I don't think it's really like the preparation, like right now, those players, I mean, you should be preparing all spring and summer. You need a little bit of time off after your season, wherever you had played. But then after that, it's about getting your body and mind ready for the season. I mean, I from when I was really, really young, I was fortunate. I had people around me. My dad was the number one influence. I mean, he took me aside back. I got cut when I was a peewee, and he's like, if you really want to be player, I got cut from the A team, put on the C team or something like that. And he's like, if you want to be a player, you better start working on getting yourself going. And I was small, and he's like, you got to get faster. He talk same thing we talk about now. You got to be faster. You got to be stronger. So I started doing plyometrics, and I started running, and I started biking, and just the preparation and just your nutrition, like eating and all that. I think the players have to do that, and that's how, for me to get to college, that's what I wanted to do. And along the line, I had numerous coaches that stressed that, and so even when I talk to the kids now, I'm talking about that already, that they need to be prepared for the season. I do think the overall hockey mindset now is that you got to be at the gym and you got to be doing that a little bit more than back then. I don't think back then everyone did as much, or it wasn't the norm. And so I think, like I said, I'm not a big guy or nothing. I think to play college hockey back then in the 80s, it was a clutch and grab, right? Different rules back then. Game. I had to try getting as strong as I could, even though I was small, but I couldn't lose speed. But the game's the same way that right now, and you got to play your game within that team, the team system or the way the game's played. So right now the games, they're talking about speed. They've opened up the game, so much that it's fast, and but the players are still really extremely strong. And now that it is the norm to go to the gym and to work out, and you don't necessarily have to be at the gym. Like I said to you earlier, I'm down here, on the Cape right here, on vacation with my family, and we're all going working out today. So me and the boys and everything, my daughters, we'll all go do stuff today, and so you just got to find time and make sure that's how you get prepared. You make sure that you have time and you're eating properly and you're go having fun and whatever, but you got to make sure you're ready for the season. And I don't think it's changed. I just think there's more people doing it now, so that if you're not doing it, you're actually hurting yourself. When back in the 80s, if you weren't doing it and you were good, you probably still get away with it.
So you mentioned playing your own game within the team. You were a numbers guy from the blue line for sure. So what was your on-ice game, your on-ice style?
I actually played the style that they play right now, back in the old days. With the D jumping in, trying to be the fourth, attacker. I grew up in the Bobby Orr era. I'm from the born in the 60s, and I remember sitting watching Bobby Orr on the TV, and the give and goes and that that type stuff, and him jumping up in the play. And so I always had played that way. I've always played, a little bit offensive. I always said that, I play defense, but if I have the puck and my team has the puck, well, that's the best defense. And I think that's what you're seeing now. The NHL, you see the D-men jumping up in the play, and creating odd man rushes, and and like with the scissor cuts and stuff like that. It's just, so that's kind of how I played. I thought I played I had a lot of passion in my game, and I think I played really gritty, but with a skill game. And I'm not a big guy, but I wasn't, I'm in the corners, but I was small, so I got to get in and out quick, get killed by those big guys. But it's just I played the good way it was now, and so I just I hear it from players all the time. You hear like, oh, I want to be on the power play, or I want to be do this and that, and I'm like, well, do you practice it? Do you work at it? My whole life, I can't remember days when I didn't go out for practice and walk the blue line. Mm-hmm. I practiced walking the blue line every single day, right? I want to be how do you get points? You got to be on the power play, right? That's how you get extra points. So, well, you want to be a power play D-man, you better practice walking that blue line, right? And so little things like that. That's how I played. I enjoy it. I still skate 3 times a week, and if I could, I'll skate more. But I have people that call me and they'll say, I need a guy, and I'll jump out. But but I skate 3 times a week, and that's what I like to do. And I think that's where it comes from. And that's how I played back then, a little bit with passion, and didn't like to lose. And I guess I was fortunate to play with a lot of good players, and so I was a lot of good memories and a lot of good friends from playing over the years.
So post college, you were all over overseas in Austria, Netherlands, Sweden, and then within the United States, Dayton, San Diego, Virginia, Vegas, Grand Rapids, just to name some of them. So did it ever become tiring for you mentally or physically just to move around that much?
No, not tiring. Not tiring. The moving, yeah, I get used to it a little bit. Obviously, there's years that I came out of college and I go straight to the American League. I'm there all year. You don't get sent down. You're in the American League for the whole year. That's great. And then there's other years, some of those places I remember one year I played four different teams, and it's just because I was getting called up, or like I was with the LA Kings system, and they had both New Haven and Phoenix. So in that year I was playing in New Haven, and I started in Sweden. That year I started in Sweden. I was in Stockholm. It was my first year in Europe ever. And at Christmas time, I was by myself. I was the only import. It was a little bit, you feel a little lonely over there. You're by yourself. I made good friends, and I actually met this kid, Guy Peroni. He played at UMaine. He played on a rival team, and but he was close by, so we hung out together. But it was I had an offer to come back and play in back then it was IHL. And it was a team called Albany Chopper. So I come back to play in Albany, and my agent's like, you better be careful. I'm hearing rumors they might have financial problems. And I'm like, I don't know. They're offering me, the rest of, I had a 2-year deal, the rest of the year and the following year. And there was a guy, Dave Allison. He actually played for him pro 4 times. I played for Dave. Played in the Coast, played in the American League with him, played in the IHL with him. And so I ended up going there, and sure enough, after I don't know how many games, 20 games, whatever, in February, Dave calls us, and we all went down to the local restaurant bar. He called us, and it's like 5:00, and the 5:00 news comes on, and they had he's like, yeah, you guys might want to watch this. And the lady comes on, and she's like, yeah, here we are down at the arena, and they're just putting the locks on the doors as they're shutting the team out because they haven't paid their lease. And that was it for the team. So I got picked up by LA the rest of the year, and they had the 2 teams. So they ended up having me go play for both teams, and so you end up playing like that year. I played 4 teams, so sometimes you live in a hotel, and others, you jump in an extra bed in an apartment. So, but that was a little difficult when you're doing that, when you have to be in the hotel. But other than that, I love to play hockey, and I didn't really care. I just wanted to play. Obviously, I'm trying to play the highest level I could, and getting in the American League, I guess that was my ceiling. And but I enjoyed it, and I've obviously seen parts of the world and parts of the United States that I would have never ever seen if I didn't. And fortunate to play hockey.
Was there ever a place where you were like, I need to get out of here? Like you just didn't like the area at all?
Yeah, there was the one place. So I usually, like I said, I was playing hockey. I was happy.
Yeah.
Usually, you get somebody on, you're friends with guys on the team, and I've been on winning teams. We won a lot of championships over the years. I've been on a lot of really winners. I've been on a couple teams that haven't been too good. But I was in Jacksonville, Florida. It was an expansion team for the East Coast League, and I went down there, and it was, I had my family, and Tyler was only 2 years old. It was the first son, and we went down there, and I knew I didn't really like the hot weather, to play hockey in the hot weather. Like it just drains you. And we were playing down there, and I just something about I don't know, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the, living situation. I didn't like the heat, there was this thing. There was an expansion team. They weren't, it was a little, they didn't really have it going, like it's a different, they have Jacksonville now, but that's a different organization than the one I was in, whatever. Yeah, so eventually I went and, I just asked them if I could get out of there, and so they agreed, and we, so I ended up in Huntington, West Virginia. Not much doing in Huntington, West Virginia, but I was way happier, and my family was happier. It was it was better, and the guys there, I actually met this guy Bob Raposa there the first time I met him. Like, we're still best friends right now, so it's life takes you different ways, and meet different people, and like if I never went there, I would have never met Rapper, and he's one of my closest friends, so yeah, I didn't like it there, that's for sure.
And when you were overseas, like you said, on that specific team, you were the only import. Based on EP, a lot of those teams, you were the only American player. So what was it like, having to overcome a new language barrier each time? And did you ever pick up the language at all?
Yeah, I picked it up a little. I could understand Swedish. I couldn't talk it. I could understand what they were saying. I played there 2 years, 5 years apart. That first year that I had talked about earlier, I was right in downtown. I was right in Stockholm, and so I'm in the big city by myself, and it was really nice. I met a lot of people from the United States over there because it was the big city, and so people on business trips and stuff like that. And but yeah, I was the only import on the team, and on 3 of the 4 teams, I was the only import. And when I was in the Netherlands and Holland, there was 2 other U.S. guys and 2 Canadian guys actually, and a Canadian coach on that team. So that was a little bit different. And some of the Dutch players had played in Canada, so that over there wasn't so much feeling like you knew you're still the import. There's a lot of pressure on the import because they obviously pay the imports a little more money, and so they're brought in specifically to win. So, but yeah, we were the one time I was in Austria. It was the only import in Austria, and we're playing Vienna. So it's like a 6-hour bus ride. We go to Vienna, and we ended up losing. So we ended up losing. It was our 3rd loss in a row. But we were in first place, and Vienna was second. So by them beating us, they took over first place. And so we're riding the bus back, probably about 4 or 5 hours into the bus ride. All of a sudden, the coach, someone taps on the shoulder, says, "Hey, the coach wants to see you." And I go up there. There's a coach from the Czech Republic, whatever, and it's broken English. He says, "Yeah, you need to see Dimai on Monday." That was the club president, and so I'm like, usually that's not a good sign. That means usually you're gone, or right when they're asking to see that, and I'm like, "Well, what for?" And he's like, I can't say, but you need to see him." And so I rode to the rink with the coach on game days because we both lived in the same ski chalet. So that way my wife had the car, and so we're riding back in the car, and I'm asking, like, okay, now no one's around, it's just me and him, and I'm like, okay, what do they need to talk about? And he's like, I can't say. So I'm like, oh, I walked in, I said to my wife, I'm like, yeah, we better start packing, we're going home. Like, there's no way they're keeping us. I think, like, I know we're having a successful season, but they're pissed that we're not in first anymore. And so I went in there, and they have the whole board member, and the only one was the one guy, Dima. He's the only one who could speak English of the board. And so he's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I said, "I'm doing good." He goes, "Well, we've lost 3 games." And I said, "Yeah, I know that." And he's like, "We must win. The team without wins makes no money. You must make sure we win." And I said, it's a team game. I'm doing best I can, and he's like, well, this is your warning, he said. He goes, this is your warning. And it's like, that's just pressure, right? Like there's tons of pressure there. Now, like, this is your warning. And I'm like, I don't speak German. The team all speaks German. There was 7 or 8 guys that spoke good English. After that, it was some guys didn't speak any English. And they're basically saying you got to be the leader of the team without being able to speak to the guys and stuff and whatever. But good part of that story is we won the championship and I got to stay the whole time. So
There you go.
yeah, we ended up winning the whole thing. And we finished first and we ended up winning the whole thing. But it was just a lot of pressure being the only import over there.
Yeah. Did you feel like you turned it on at all after that meeting, or?
No, I mean, I thought I was playing pretty good. I mean, the Vienna game, I know I had a few points and I was still plus and everything. So I was like, I doing my job, I felt, but it's, I tried talking to the guys that spoke English. I really tried, I had a meeting with them and tried having them portray, because they could speak German and that way everybody understood what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did talk with them and I, tried, just portraying like we got to buckle. It was just the small details. And, every team has ups and downs and we were just having a down, every team, Vegas Golden Knights just won the Stanley Cup and they still had down a couple of weeks in the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's all that was going on. The difference is when they were losing, then the fans weren't coming to see the team.
Yeah.
So that's what they were basically saying, like, hey, we need to win for fans to come.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it ended up working out good.
In the WCHL, you got to find some consistency 4 years straight with the Tacoma SaberCats. Three of those 4 years, top scoring D-man in the league. You won a league title in year 2. So where does that season kind of stack up in your favorites as a pro?
Yeah, I actually was in Tacoma for 5 years, and let me correct you, but yeah, I was there for 5 years, and Tacoma was one of my favorite places to play. And obviously we stayed there. At that point in my career, I'd already established being, that power play D-man, offense D-man. I also kind of found that niche, and I was at that AA level. I was in that level, and so that year was one of the most special years ever. A lot of really good friends. I helped start the team. Guy John Oliver had me as his player assistant, so I was assistant coach. I mean, people call me assistant GM and everything as well. I mean, he was GM and coach and president of the team, and he had so many duties and it was an expansion team. So I helped him build the program. I went out. I even helped pick the color. Like he sent me to go buy shirts or fabric to look at different colors, red that was going to go into the shirts, like all the small and little details. And that's what we try bringing to the team at the Bandits. And we try having that small details at practice and everything. And, I learned a lot from him. It was just about, it was just doing everything right and small. And we brought in a lot of quality people. And, so that's kind of what I tried doing at the Bandits. It's kind of try replicating that Tacoma experience, bringing in, every year the junior world. Every year the junior world's, it's almost like an expansion team because you get new players all the time. You do get some veteran guys back, but you bring in a lot of new players every single year, and so try replicating those Tacoma years. It was so enjoyable, great place to live. People are nice, and we had huge fan support, and the players played together. Nice.
So one last thing we got to address about your pro career is that you were playing into your 40s. So what was your conditioning routine like, and what were the things that you were focusing on off the ice to keep going and still produce?
Well, I used to just kill myself in the gym. That was really it. I would be not even the gym. I'd say I could be outside. I mean, like I said earlier, I do plyos. I rode the bike, and I mimicked I just mimicked playing, and everything I did was to get better and get in shape. And For me to play it at four, I finished when my last season was 41. There was a lot of like inner like desire to not fail. And if I was getting tired, say in the summer when I was training, I would think of the young kids, or I'd think of certain players that I knew were also working so hard. Like I had a friend, I still have a friend, it was Alex Alexiev. I played with him in Tacoma, and he was just a bull, and he just worked so hard. And so like if I was say getting tired on the bike and I was supposed to ride, say I was doing sprints on the bike and I was tired and I'm running out of, I still had like say 10 seconds to go or something like that on a 30-second sprint. Like I'd actually think of like Alex. I'm like, Alex is going, I gotta go, right? And I'm not letting him get ahead of me. And there's just that competitive drive. And so that was just wanting to play in the passion, and that's, like I said, you got to keep that intensity up, and that's what we try doing in practice. We try doing in practice, and so that it's just second nature.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so that's why, right now, like I said, I still skate and can, you gotta, I think if you want to play pro hockey is different. Like you got to decide, like you got to have, like there's the Sidney Crosby's and the Bedards in the world that are like they've worked their butts off, but they also have some talent. They have some natural talent too. Like,
They do,
right? Like they didn't just they weren't no good and then all of a sudden worked. I mean they had something, and so I didn't. I think I had some talent, but I started back, like I said, when I was 12 years old. I was out in that driveway, sticking and shooting. And I think you have to do that. And that's how to have longevity, you gotta have passion and desire, and there's downtimes, and can you come out of the downtimes? And, like that's same thing, like I said, we were in Austria and we had downtime, that team came out of it, and, my team last year, we were down. We played so good in December going into the Christmas break. And I think we had like 7 wins in a row. And then we came out of Christmas break, we won, and then we started losing, and we just weren't playing right. Like just weren't, and this wasn't right. And I just kept saying to the guys, and just like, hey, you gotta small baby steps and pay attention to details, and we'll keep climbing. You gotta climb out of this hole that we put ourselves in, and you gotta have that will to do it. And the guys did, and and last year we actually took the eventual champion in the the USPHL. We took them all the way to, we were in the best. They did best of 3. We were in best of 3. We actually up 1-0 in the second period, to knock them off. And we came a long way, but that was because they stayed the course, and that's really how you do it. That's how the longevity to have that. You gotta stay the course.
So consider all the places you played at. I will say a trait, and you are going to say which place fits that best. So which place that you played in your pro career had the best food?
I liked San Diego. I like Mexican food, and they had a lot of really good Mexican food there. And there was a place in Elmira, New York, though, at a bowling alley that had the best Mexican food. It was in a bowling alley that we could walk to from our house, and they had the best Mexican food I probably ever had. But overall, San Diego had a lot of different foods, and it was really good.
Who had the nicest, just townsfolk, townspeople, that kind of thing?
That'd be Adirondack, Glens Falls.
Okay.
Met my wife there. The people the people there, I can't say enough. Like I'm gonna tell you right now. I just tell you right now. I actually got divorced. I was a single dad playing pro hockey, have the kids, and I had to go on road trips. And the people up there in Glens Falls, it was the youth hockey people and stuff like that I met. They helped take care of the kids when I had to go away, like different families and stuff, and some of them are our best friends now, but up there, those people up there are unbelievable living up in that area.
What was the place with the most to do outside of hockey?
Probably Innsbruck, Austria. When I played in Innsbruck, Austria, the location, first of all, just gorgeous there, And but Austria's not a big country, especially and right where Innsbruck is, it's really tiny. So you can go into Italy, just over the mountain is Italy on one side, and over the other mountain is Germany. And so you can get, then you can go over to Switzerland, like, so there's a lot of, I'd say that or the Netherlands, because you tour and you go see all the different parts of Europe on your days off and stuff like that. So,
What place was absolutely the middle of nowhere?
Huntington, West Virginia.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who had the best fans?
Best fans?
Fans, yep.
Best fans. I mean, I'd have to go with Tacoma.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with Tacoma. They were a special group, yeah.
And
we had
what
huge,
was
huge fans. I mean, there was 12, 14,000.
wow.
Yeah, it's good.
And which place finally was the biggest culture shock for you?
Biggest culture shock that'd be probably going over to Europe as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just it's totally different, and not being able to speak the language and yeah, probably that was that first year in Stockholm, Sweden. I mean, people in Sweden speak English, but yeah, it's just different. They live different. But it's nice. It's really nice over there.
Yeah, I'm sure. So after you mentioned that when you were with Tacoma, you were a player assistant. And so that was kind of your first experience in coaching and management. But after that, it was the Bandits in 2007 after your pro career ended. So what, drove you back to coaching? And was there ever a doubt that you wanted to pursue hockey post playing?
Never a doubt. Never a doubt.
Yeah.
I wanted to coach. I really started thinking about coaching when I was in college. When I saw, I coach that if I didn't play for him, I don't think I played pro hockey. Bill Riley Jr. If I don't go to Lowell, I think, I watched him and, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, he influenced me so much. And I was like, I'd love to do that for other, for players, for these kids coming up, and I'd like to help them. And, I started doing hockey camps back then. And then I always wanted to coach. I did always want to be a college coach. But my family situation doesn't really allow that. I really wanted to be stable because of my career being moving around a lot. We bought a house and made sure that we had the same summer house all the time to go to, but moving around in the winter and the different teams in a pro career and bringing my family all over the place. I wanted to settle them down. And so when I was in my last year, I had called Scott Harlow. Like I said, I've known him for since we were 10 or something like that, 10 or 12, and I called him up and I said, yeah, I'm gonna retire, and he's like, yeah, you got a job, don't worry, you got a job and you'll help out our junior program. And so we bought a house nearby Bridgewater. We're in Middleborough, and 10 minutes from the rink, and so we're not moving. I got my youngest is 12, so staying there until she's done with her high school and everything, but because I wanted some stability for the family.
Right.
And, so I've had some offers to do some other things and stuff, but it's just, we like the Bandits. We've been at a couple different owners and stuff, but like I said, the people at the rink and all that, it's a big family. And I really like helping the kids, and kids send you pictures of. I just got a picture yesterday. Kids had bachelor party, and the teammates getting back together, and they're sending me a picture of that. Or they're another player's just announced he's having his fourth kid, and sending me that. So it's a lot of good relationships with these young kids, and helping them have their own families and their own lives, and it's so I enjoy it.
In 13-14, you won a title in junior hockey with the Metro and within the Metro League. What did you learn in that year about what it takes to win at this level?
Well, we talked about it earlier, about you do need that veteran presence of those returning players. That's for sure. I'd won some championships playing pro as well, and a lot of similarities with like the veteran core, leading by example, the whole team buying in and you playing their own game within the structure because every player is different. And so, we get different players, some are very skilled with the puck and others are very physical and things. They got to play their game within the Bandit system. And that year, it just all came together. And I mean, we only lost one game all year, and it's funny those guys still get they still they still talk about the one loss. It's so funny how they talk about the one loss, but yeah, it's just they really came together and just played their own games within the system and within the structure. They believed in it. They really were together in the room. They weren't all best friends or anything, but when they got in that room, they were all together, and they just it came together. And we had had a really good year, and that year we beat Rich DiCaprio and his Rangers. I want to throw that out there, which I know that will bother him.
Yeah.
I always tell him that, so I got to make sure. Rich is a good friend of mine, so yeah, so beat him in the finals, and it's always nice to say.
We have a little preview of maybe a renewed East Division rivalry right now.
Oh yeah, it's there. Don't worry, it's there. So the minute, well, we've been talking anyways, because before they announced that we're back in the league, me and Rich have been talking anyway, so he kind of knew that there was talks going on of us doing that. So, but the day that they announced it, he sent me a text. He just said, "Just rivals again."
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. So you mentioned this when we were kind of texting before this, that you've coached in a lot of leagues and have seen a lot of changes in the landscape of junior hockey. When you're behind the bench, when you're coaching these young players, what are the things that you have tried to keep consistent despite all those changes in the world around you?
Well, I think it just, again, I'm myself, and I try leading by example, and I'm not, the one thing is, I change, everybody changes a little bit but you are who you are deep side. So it's just that we like to keep that work ethic and, that togetherness. And I think that throughout the game itself has changed as far as, I think the way you do practice is a little bit different. They're really talking about like the small area games. So we do there's a lot of small area games in our practices, where maybe in the past, like I have some different games that will get in shape because of the games. You don't have to get on the line and, do the old, bag skate line to line. I got some games that are probably even harder than that, but it's fun because now you're competing and you're battling and so I think the practices have changed a little bit over time, and they evolve, just like the games evolved. But as far as the team preparation and all that, a lot of that's very similar, I think.
And finally, outside of getting a chance to beat Rich DiCaprio, what excites you most about being back in the EHL?
Yeah, well, we want to beat them all. We just don't want to beat Rich, but I mean, our goal actually, I mean, truthfully, the goal is to get the kids to a higher level, get them to college. So that's a win in itself. And everybody wants to win the championship. That's 100%, right? But if you don't win the championship, but you put 10 kids into college and 2 kids to the tier 2, NA or something like that, or whatever it is, or I help Corbett Lucas get a job at the fire department to be an EMT. That's a win, because that's a win for us. That's a win. So, but in it's competition, we want to win the championship. Yeah. So we're we'll see. We got this. There's a lot of, I know a lot of the coaches, so there's a few rivals in there anyways, because you get a little friendship there.
Yeah.
It's always fun to compete against your friends.
We can't wait to see it, Coach. We're excited to have the Bandits back. The more competition, the better in this league. So thank you very much for taking the time to join us this morning, and enjoy the rest of your time there on the Cape.
Yeah, thank you very much. A pleasure being here, and yeah, we're very, very excited to be back to the EHL. I think it's going to be a very good fit for us, and we're excited.
Great. Well, we'll see you at the Worcester Showcase for sure.
All right. Yep, thank you.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.